Assertiveness is the quality of being self-assured and confident without being aggressive. Assertive communication involves respect for the boundaries of oneself and others. In contrast, aggressive communication judges, threatens, lies, breaks confidences, stalls, and violates others' boundaries. At the opposite end is passive communication. Passive people may passively permit others to violate their boundaries. At a later time, they may come back and attack with a sense of impunity or righteous indignation. Assertive communication attempts to transcend these extremes by appealing to the shared interest of all parties. It focuses on the issue, not the person. It is important for the supervisor to have some knowledge of the backgrounds of the problems so that he or she can tailor the supervision. These backgrounds can differ greatly. Problems that may occur while working with youngsters are preoccupied with personal problems, problems at home, lack of self-confidence, no awareness of problems or denial of them, lack of frustration tolerance, negative experiences with education, strong ties with the wrong friends, a negative attitude towards counseling, focused on other things. Adolescence problems intertwine. We can conclude that the backgrounds of the motivation problems are various. We can also distinguish combinations of the issues mentioned. Personal problems and the youngster's home situation play a central role. 4 types of problems. Not being able to. This concerns problems such as adolescence problems which have got out of hand, psychopathology, or problems within the home situation. In fact, the problems have little to do with schooling or work. Not wanting to. Not wanting to can have to do with a number of issues, such as negative experiences at educations and/or workshops, strong ties with wrong friends, a negative attitude towards counseling, and being focused on another matter. Not daring to. These youngsters lack self-confidence. Fear and sense of inferiority play a major role. The youngster has a negative self-image of own possibilities. Not knowing. The youngster is not aware of his or her problems and has little insight into his or her own situation. For a number of these youngsters, the possibilities for self-reflection are limited. On top of that, there are a few adequate examples in their surroundings, so that they hardly have an idea of what normal life is like. Predicting possible problems with youth. Youngsters become overly dependent on youth workers. Many times, youngsters will automatically look to the youth worker for correct answers instead of trying themselves. Youngster is defiant, rowdy, or distracting others. This will happen, no matter what. If the entire group is acting up, it may be the fault of the youth worker. For example, he or she uses boring material or is poor at group management. Youngsters hijack session. The session doesn't go where you want it to. When working with youth, you can always count on youngsters hijacking a lesson. To some extent, this can be a good thing. It shows that they have interest, and as long as they are participating, it is a productive experience. Personalities clash. Not everyone in group will become the best of friends. If drama arises between certain individuals, the easiest solution is to separate them from one another. Youngsters unclear on what to do or do the wrong thing. The fact is, it is often the fault of the youth worker. In order to avoid this problem, it is important to make sure your instructions are clear. Youngsters are bored, inattentive, or unmotivated. With proper planning, this problem can be solved. Strong youngster dominance. Focus on calling other individuals from the group to answer questions and take part in session. Encourage, but gently deflect some answers from the strong individuals and give production time to other not so strong members of the group. Youngsters are unprepared. The last thing you want as a youth worker is for youngsters to drop out simply because they felt lost and/or unprepared. Tardiness. Tardiness is not only rude, it can be distracting and disruptive to other youngsters. If tardiness becomes a problem for members of your group, make sure they are disciplined. Coping with critical situations. Dealing with aggression. In dealing with a participant who is acting aggressively towards other participants of an activity, you want to send a strong message that aggressive behavior will not be tolerated. In addition, you want to help to develop more appropriate ways of settling disputes with peers. What you can do. Be assertive when breaking up fights. Respond calmly but firmly to aggressive participants. Consider giving the youngster a timeout. After the aggressive participants cool down, talk with them privately. Have the participant apologize. Angry outbursts. At some point, everybody can get angry. Anger, after all, is a normal human emotion. Anger isn't a problem as long as the individual express their feelings appropriately. It is a problem, however, if they express their anger in a way that is hurtful to their peers or disruptive to the group. What you can do. Model calm behavior. Do not take angry words personally. Have a private, non-threatening talk with the youngster. Problem solve with the youngsters. Support the frustrated youngsters. Vandalism. What you can do. Talk with youngsters about respecting the property of others. Examine a youngster's motivation for a specific act of vandalism. Be sure of a youngster's guilt before you accuse him or her. Encouraging participation. Participation is an important aspect of young people's lives. When they speak up, they learn to express their ideas in a way that others can understand. When they ask questions, they learn how to obtain information to enhance their own understanding of a topic. Through youngsters' questions, you learn what they don't understand and can adjust your instruction accordingly. What you can do. Create a climate in which youngsters are encouraged to ask questions. Take the youngsters' questions and comment seriously. Monitor group participation. Give the youngsters responsibilities that require communication. A good therapy for problematic participants of activities you coordinate as a youth worker might be encouraging them to volunteer. Everyone volunteers for different reasons, and young people are no different. The main thing to be aware of is that young people are looking for opportunities where they can gain experience, learn new skills, and meet people, which will aid their efforts to get employment. They may also need you to be flexible and accommodating around their other commitments and interests. Volunteering positions for young people can be long-term or short-term, a one-off event or a continuing obligation. They could involve a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly commitment. The same applies for young volunteers as well as for anybody interested in volunteering.